Hey everyone, I'm coming to you with the live video, and I basically wanted to talk about something that I was really thinking about today. Today is what I consider a dark day, Black Friday, and there's a reason for it. So, if you see the title of my video, it says How Black Friday Can Destroy Your Dream Goals. And I use the word destroy very deliberately because I have a reason for it. So, I find it's quite interesting how people kind of really get into, kind of suck it into this whole thing around Black Friday. And it's all good that, people want to buy things which sort of give them some form of happiness and probably at a really discounted price. But the thing I often wonder is, it's so interesting how the psyche around Black Friday really can control people and their way of thinking. And Black Friday for me is really based on two let's say concepts. One is scarcity, for the fact that you might not obviously get something particular because it's at a specific price, a price that is obviously very attractive to you as a person, and that obviously is one way to incentivize people to buy. But the other thing is that I feel it's kind of like a kind of mind control, if you want to call it, where obviously marketers are really good at this kind of stuff, where they can obviously use concepts like Black Friday to kind of make you feel that you have that whole thing around missing out and not actually doing something that the mass are actually doing, and running like headless chickens to malls and stuff to buy stuff. So I just wanted to speak about something that I think is very important in terms of Black Friday, and how it relates to your whole thing around achieving your goals and your dreams. So if you think about it, you don't really do much shopping during the year. It depends on you as a person, what it is that you like, what you dislike. And it's quite interesting that the one time in the year, which is sort of the period where it's really festive, is literally on the doorstep of Christmas. People obviously create this kind of concept, and people go for it. So I have nothing against people obviously wanting to attain their desires, their things that make them happy, if it's physical objects or whatever it is that they want to buy. But the thing is, I often wonder, do people actually take a step back and understand how the Black Friday concept actually can, in a way, stop people from really achieving their goals and their dreams? So let me give you an example. Let's say you're a person that is very particular about learning a new skill. There's a particular course that you really want to buy, knowing that course is going to actually help you achieve those specific skills, and those skills itself could actually help you, maybe build something that is actually going to create a legacy for you and your family. So to give a very simple example, you want to learn a skill that actually helps you make, some kind of business where you can obviously, create an income. And one of the ways to do that is to obviously invest those skills in something like a course, a mastermind, perhaps even a coach. It really just depends on the person's desire and what they want to achieve. So what happens? By the time people come to that point where they feel they want to invest in the course, they don't obviously perhaps have the funds for it because it might be at a certain cost, which means they look for options. And some people obviously would have had those funds if they were pretty savvy with their money, and they would have obviously invested in that course, which would have helped them to develop the skills that they needed to build that kind of particular business, which will give them an income. So I'm not trying to firstly preach here. I'm not trying to give you an investment sermon, but all I'm saying is, if you think about how much you actually go around spending during Black Friday, and if you take that whole amount and work it out and work out potentially where you could have invested, that kind of money in a course that you've been wanting to learn a particular skill, because reality is, like I've said before, we're in a world where it's not very easy to stay in a particular vocation or a career because things are changing. The economies are slowing down, countries are changing the way they adapt working conditions, And obviously, certain companies are changing the way they look at employees or people, because for some of them, unfortunately, people don't really matter to them. So the question is, all the money that you spend today, Black Friday, sure, you probably have got a lot of happiness. You secured a massive deal, massive discount. But what if you're in a scenario where you needed to pay certain debts? And I've seen people actually do this where they know they've got certain debts they need to pay, which are very important debts. And then actually what lands up happening is that they actually go and spend all that money, throw it away, and they realize actually they're in a worse position compared to where they were before Black Friday. Now, it's not to sound all doom and gloom. The reality is that if you start sort of adding up what you could have potentially used from an investment perspective, so investing doesn't just necessarily mean financially, it can be investing in yourself as a person. So I started realizing as well that for me, if I was going to learn certain skills, particularly where I'm looking to build online business building skills, then I had to find a way, obviously, where I could sort of look at what money I could use potentially. And it doesn't have to be a lot. There's a lot of courses. If you go to Udemy, obviously Udemy has some really cheap courses. Now, what I would say is, in that scenario, if you were looking for great deals where you wanted to invest in a particular course, then obviously I would say for that perspective, Black Friday is good, because that's kind of money that is good for you, where you actually are spending in something you are potentially going to have some kind of ROI from. So the point is that it's very critical to start understanding, obviously, how Black Friday kind of, obviously it comes off only once a year. But in a way, if you think about it, whenever there's a sale, whenever there's a special thing going on, it's kind of almost like a Black Friday almost every month for people, because people want to achieve something where they want to buy something in particular. They might get obviously good use or happiness from it in the first few weeks, and then afterwards they just don't feel any satisfaction, or they lose that kind of connection in terms of what is that feeling with that particular object or thing that they bought. So if you think about potentially how much money you actually are spending on things that you feel are not helping you grow as a person every month, and you actually consider, what can I actually see it is that I'm spending on that really adds no value to me, but if I was to invest into something that potentially could help me as a person, could help my family also, and change the way I look at things as a person from a business perspective, from an income producing perspective, then obviously it's going to make a big difference. And even if you were just starting with, let's just say $100 a month. I'll give you another example. Basically, with some of my online businesses, if I had to, market in any way, I would look at something where I would spend, minimum $100. And that $100 I could easily spend on any specific object or material thing, which to me actually doesn't really add value. So that's why I feel that if I start looking at things that way, Black Friday to me then doesn't make any sense at all. So it was really just my way of, sort of speaking about something that I think is really relevant. And yeah, people would have gone out today, they would have spent a lot. They would have thought, okay, they had a really great time shopping, getting all these great deals. But I've also seen people after a few weeks, they really feel bad, and it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have really spent this money, because obviously businesses benefit from it. There's huge volumes that they get during these sales. It might appear that you're saving a lot of money, but actually if you add up what you've spent and compare it to what you normally spend on a monthly basis, you'll probably realize that you spent a lot more than you should have. So just my thoughts. Sanjesh, thank you for watching. If you have comments about this, I'd be glad to see your comments about this. And if you're watching the recording of this later, not just here on Facebook, but on my YouTube as well, you can actually see some of the things I'm doing online by looking at the links below that I've provided. And if there's anything else you wanted to speak to me about what I'm doing online, then you can obviously send me a message here on Facebook or on the details that I've provided on my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.